Hello and welcome to our midweek meditation. I'm Victor Kim. Friends, today I want to talk about something that doesn't get too much attention right now, and that's the hidden pain that many are experiencing today, whether as a direct result of the coronavirus pandemic or some kind of related issue. I think so much of the public attention around the pandemic has been on issues that are visible, tangible, issues like people's health, those who are affected by the virus, infected by the virus, those who have died due to complications of the virus, those who are recovering from having been infected, and of course, those who are having to cope with a loved one who is either ill or someone who has died because of complications of the virus during this time of the pandemic. And there are other issues like economic impact, the loss of jobs, the loss of income, uncertainty for businesses. There are young people who are struggling to find meaningful work, whose future is clouded by uncertainty. There are older people who may have to rethink their plans for retirement. Things may take a long time to return to some semblance of predictability or confidence. And for those of us with faith backgrounds, this is a time for patience, even as it's a time for concern. As we navigate these uncharted waters around when we might meet together again and how we can meet when we're allowed to meet, what the future holds for churches and other places of worship, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of uncertainty. But an unspoken reality of this time, or at least one that doesn't get as much public exposure at this time, is the emotional and the psychological pain and loss that so many are experiencing. There are issues of grief over the loss of a loved one, over the loss of health or independence, over the loss of work, vocation, the loss of confidence and direction, the loss of security, and so many more issues. I think we can only begin to imagine the post-traumatic stresses that will reveal themselves in the weeks and months to come, especially in those people who are currently too busy helping to reflect upon what they're actually seeing and what they're experiencing. And we know people who suffer from pre-existing mental health challenges, whose struggles are exacerbated by this time of pandemic. We hear stories of people for whom the crushing load of emotional burden and financial insecurity can be just too much, and they look for a way out, sometimes with tragic consequences. We hear of people whose relationships are suffering because they just don't have the capacity to cope with the huge amount of stress that comes from trying to juggle so many unexpected responsibilities at the same time. Some people have to homeschool their children while still caring for aging parents, some of whom we cannot see face to face. And they have to still work from home and still produce in the midst of all of these challenges. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of things that cause us pressure. We have to pay attention. We have to pay attention to ourselves and to one another in this very vulnerable time. We have to be especially alert to signs of trouble in those who are close to us. I understand that the effort will be high. I understand that we might be consumed with taking care of ourselves, but we have to invest that time and that energy in paying attention to those people that are close to us at this time. We have to make sure that we are also grounded in wise decisions and strong choices about what we can manage and when we need to call for help, when we need to reach out for help. And of course, as people of faith, we have to have confidence in God, in a God who has created life, in a God who sustains life, in the God who promises to redeem life, even when that life can be full of sorrow, sadness, and loss. We believe in a God who said through the psalmist, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear. And who through his Son Jesus said, "Come unto me, all you that are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest." Jesus also said, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not let them be afraid." You know, though these words of assurance and comfort give us hope, they don't come in isolation. They don't come in isolation. Part of how we manage our grief and our mental health is to connect with others in relationships and in communities for which we have been created. In this time of social distancing, it may be more difficult to have these relationships or to gather in these communities, but there are still some really, really good resources available to us for us to consider. I want to encourage you to consider participating in one of these resources. Here at Richmond Presbyterian, beginning tomorrow evening, we're offering a 4-week course called Faith, Grief, and COVID-19, a Conversation. It's called Faith, Grief, and COVID-19, a Conversation. This is a guided conversation that draws upon the knowledge and experience of people in the fields of clinical psychology, theology, and palliative care, while addressing the unique challenges posed by the pandemic. If you're part of our mailing list, we'll be sending you an email reminder with the Zoom link. And if you're not associated with RPC but are interested, please email me at richprez@telus.net. That's richprez, R-I-C-H, prez@telus.net. And I'll be happy to send you more information. In the meantime, let's continue to pray for one another. Let's keep our eyes and our ears open to what people are saying around us and what they're doing, how they look. You know, don't wait to talk to someone because you think it's none of your business. The welfare of our sisters and brothers in Christ is always our business. And what's the worst that can happen if you ask them? They can just politely say, "No, I'm not interested." And if you're struggling yourself, please reach out. Please reach out. Reach out to your family, reach out to a friend, reach out to a professional, reach out to your elder at your church, reach out to me. Please reach out. And again, know that it is in these ways, through these people, through these resources, that God also provides God's healing and God's care. Friends, I pray that God's peace and God's healing will be with all of us in this very challenging time, and that we might be instruments of God's healing in God's world. I want to invite you now to watch a short trailer for the Faith, Grief, and COVID-19 Conversation course. And once you've watched this trailer, we'll listen to a musical meditation from Jani, our music director. God be with you and God bless you.
Hello, my name is Daniel Whitehead and I'm the CEO of Sanctuary Mental Health Ministries. Sanctuary is a non-profit charity based out of Vancouver, Canada, though our work is becoming more known in other nations too. Sanctuary exists to help the church have conversations and shared learning experiences that help people of faith to integrate their faith with mental health. We seek to do that through the lenses of theology, clinical practice, research, and lived experience. When the COVID-19 pandemic began surfacing at the beginning of March, our leadership team decided that we would try and create a resource to help people process grief and loss in these times. No sooner had we made that decision than we started noticing a number of articles and seminars and webinars and other excellent resources on the subject of grief. So we set ourselves the ambitious task of creating an easily accessible online short course that people everywhere could access, all within the space of a month. And I'm delighted to share it with you on behalf of all of us at Sanctuary Mental Health Ministries. In this resource, I've recorded some conversations with 4 of my friends. The first is one of our ambassadors, Dr. Hilary McBride. Hilary is an award-winning therapist, a registered clinical counsellor based here in Vancouver, Canada. She is also a published author and a renowned podcaster who is regularly heard by over 10 million people worldwide. Then we have our other ambassador, Reverend Professor John Swinton. John is a world-renowned practical theologian, an ordained Church of Scotland minister, a former psychiatric nurse, and now a prolific academic, an award-winning author, and the Chair of Divinity at the University of Aberdeen in Scotland. I then have my friend Dr. Ruth Lawson McConnell. Ruth is a therapist who trained directly with Dr. Gordon Neufeld. She has over 30 years of experience as a counselling psychologist. Ruth is currently based here in Vancouver, Canada, having recently moved from New Zealand. Ruth is a global citizen, having been born in Scotland, raised in Brazil, and she's spent her adult life between Canada and New Zealand. Finally, I was able to interview Lawrence Chung. Lawrence is a hospital chaplain and spiritual carer. He's also an adjunct professor at the University of British Columbia, specialising in palliative care. Lawrence's interview was actually recorded between shifts whilst he was working at the hospital. Each of our experts speak to different aspects of grief and loss, which can perhaps fall under the broader categories of bereavement, loss of identity, and the loss of life as we have previously known it. Though our speakers speak to different aspects of loss, we believe the wisdom they share can speak to you, whether you're grieving the loss of a loved one, the loss of a job or income, the loss of freedom or safety, the loss of sustaining relationships. Whatever your loss is, your loss matters, and grieving is an appropriate and healthy response. So please use this resource, share it with others, and please also check out our other resources, including our podcast, our blog, our Sanctuary course, which is an 8-week study for faith communities to explore the intersection of faith and mental health. And all of our resources are freely available via our website at sanctuarymentalhealth.org. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. God bless you, and may you know the peace of Christ, even in the midst of these difficult times.